In the PSL times, I think Sanya was there throughout.
Yes, absolutely. That's true.
यार अंबर मैं तो ये कह रहा था कि PSL ओपन होगा तो मैं तो हर मैच ज्वाइन करूंगा दुबई में बैठ के, बट उसके बाद PSL शिफ्ट हो गया.
आपको कहना नहीं चाहिए था ना, you jinxed it. Okay, guys, we are now live. Assalamu alaikum, everyone at Engro. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you all tuning in. We have a very interesting session today, and hopefully it'll be a source of inspiration for all of you, and I'm counting on it being a source of inspiration for me too. So to start off with a very quick introduction, Engro Vopak and LNG Terminal has actually initiated a global talent program. It's designed to open international opportunities across the Vopak world for our homegrown talent. So everyone working here in Vopak and LNG, they have that connection with Vopak in the Netherlands, and now they have the opportunity to actually be seconded to other areas, other regions with Vopak. So it's a great initiative. We have some of the people who have actually been seconded here with us under the program. So we've got these 4 people who are already relocated on special assignment to the Netherlands, UAE, and Australia, and I'll let them introduce themselves and tell us where they are right now and how long they've been there. And we can do that shortly. First, I would at least like to give you their names. But before that, just for your understanding, secondments are actually triggered by the availability of positions globally in the Vopak world. So candidates are finalized based on succession and progression discussion, and then post-rigorous assessment by local and global management, then they're seconded. Today, we have with us Sabir Rahman Shad, Usman Mahmood Khan, Samama Mahmood, and Mohammad Shahzev. Aside from them, just so that, you know, we'll divide the limelight a little bit, we also have Fatma Tawseef with us and Mehwish Rafi Rahman. Both of these ladies are with HR for Engro Vopak and LNG Terminals, and they are the ones who have been obviously facilitating these gentlemen in the background and making sure that they get where they are and are able to get adjusted where they are. So to start off with, Sabi, can we start with you? Can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us where you are speaking to us from today?
Sure. My name is Sabi. I'm a commercial manager at Vopak LNG. I have just joined the Netherlands team a month ago. It's actually my 5th week over here and currently settling in. I've already been assigned a couple of projects, both of them globally, global nature. So one in South Africa and one in Brazil. And I'm happy to be a part of this program.
So how long did you say it's been now?
So it's been 5 weeks since I've been in the Netherlands.
Okay, so still settling in then, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Usman, how about you? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, today I'm calling from Lahore, right? Because I was here for my vacations. But yeah, I got transferred to Vopak Middle East office 2 years back in 2019. I'm working as a business development manager for Middle East region and primarily focused for Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Oman. As part of business development, I'm responsible for the portfolio business development, which means that, yeah, we have to have a joint venture with the local companies here in Middle East. I'm working very closely with Saudi Aramco, SABIC, ADNOC, PDO. So these are big, massive companies, and I feel very privileged that I have been working in this role for a year, for 2 years now. Fingers crossed, tough time, but I'm hoping that if I can execute anything for Vopak and bring something for Engro as well.
Inshallah, absolutely. So you have a lot of learning opportunities working with those huge companies. I'm gonna enjoy talking to you about that in a bit.
Yeah, sure.
So Samama, what about you?
Yeah, I am Samama Mahmood Mirza. I had joined Engro, I had joined Vopak Terminal Darwin back in June 2019 as terminal superintendent. My role was changed to operations manager 6 months after I joined. My primary responsibilities are to keep the terminal up and running. So we have 2 terminals here, Vopak Terminal Sydney and Vopak Terminal Darwin. So I was posted to Vopak Terminal Darwin, that is in the Northern Territory. And our terminal is responsible for the supply to an entire state, that is the state of Northern Territory. So yeah, big portfolio. And I'm really privileged and happy to work for Vopak Terminal Darwin.
Amazing, amazing.
Yep.
And Mohammed Shazib.
Yeah, so I'm Mohammed Shahzeb. I'm currently in Rotterdam, just next to Sabi. And I came here in November last year and joined LNG division as operations and maintenance officer. And I was part of one of a unique turnaround, or you can say maintenance sit down of one of a LNG terminal in Rotterdam, which is one of its kind because you have to decommission the LNG infrastructure, which rarely happens. So I was part of it, and it was concluded very successfully recently. And now I'm continue working for LNG division and looking after the operations of the LNG terminals owned by or partially owned by Vopak, like the terminal in Pakistan, and also supporting the operation aspect for future developing projects. So
Amazing.
it is a lot of learning for me, and I'm privileged, I believe, to be part of this program. So very happy and excited.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting, when all four of you have introduced yourselves, the projects that you've mentioned that you're working on, they're not small projects. They're not small scale or anything. You guys are all working on massive projects that I think have a lot of dependencies linked to them. So there's a lot of pressure, but I think it's the positive kind of pressure that actually helps you grow and learn, which is also important to have in a career. So that's fantastic. And I'm glad to see that you guys are where you are. And I think it's something that would make everyone at the Vopak and LNG businesses feel very hopeful as well. So we'll get into our conversation now. Fatma and Mavish. So Fatma, for everyone who doesn't know, is Deputy Manager Talent at Engro, Vopak and LNG Terminals, and Mavish is Deputy Manager Rewards at Engro, Vopak and LNG Terminals. So to start off with you guys, tell us a little bit about the Global Talent Program.
Thank you, Amber, and so good to see everyone here. Hello to everybody who's watching this, and hope everybody and their families are doing well. I'm really happy to share with you a little more about the Global Talent Program. Amber has already touched upon that. So, but before we start, I just want to, tell you how privileged EVTL and ETL are to be part of a JV, because we get to work with two very competent and capable HR structures. And we get to pick best practices out of both of them. Global Talent Program being one of them, one of those areas that we thought we could venture into, and keeping understanding this is the uniqueness to the business. So with this program, the essence behind this program is to provide learning opportunities for our talent that are not only locally driven, but also gives them a perspective from the international point of view. Of course, there's a lot of profiling that is put into this before any decisions are taken. We do a series of profiling for our employees, mapping them with our succession plan, with our development plan, and of course, a very rigorous assessment locally as well as globally is done before any decisions are taken on. So along with these, we have a lot of very interesting other projects as well. I'd like to briefly touch upon a program that we're very happy to have, which is a mentorship program for our females. In this program, we again open global opportunities, but again in a different way, where we partner our local female talent to female leaders across the Vopak world. In that way, they get to have very frequent conversations on mentorship and get to learn from them, because challenges for females, even though geographically they might be they might be placed in a different area, but the challenges are very similar. So that's another way in which we are opening global opportunities as part of our program. So just wanted to briefly touch upon that.
What's the name of that program?
So we call it it's a mentorship program. We are looking out for a more finer brand name for it at the moment, but at the moment it's a female mentorship program.
That's very nice. It's good to see that you guys are doing a lot of things to kind of try to enhance and grow your talent. So super important for any company. And And so I would just like to get into quickly, because I'm just trying to imagine when you gentlemen got this news, what it must have been like for you and what it must have been like for your families also when you initially heard कि आपकी secondment hui hai and you're going to be going somewhere else. So Samama, can we hear from you on that first?
Yeah, I started jumping up and down.
Literally,
No.
huh?
That's the
No,
mama.
it was something of that sort. I was really happy. Yeah, and when I told my wife, she was really ecstatic as well. My daughter was young, so I could not note her expressions, but I'm sure she would like it 2 or 3 years down the lane. So yeah, happiness all around. I can actually, think about that time, and I can still smile. That is what was the reaction back then. So yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And Shazib, how about for you?
Yeah, it was initially I was slightly told that there are some opportunities, but then things started to develop. So it was really excited for me and my family also.
Was it surreal? Did you feel like जब तक paper हाथ में नहीं आया था कि नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला?
हाँ, उस वक्त तक था कि अच्छा चलो, जब शुरू में तो था अच्छा चलो कोई चीज है चलो, फिर जब इंटरव्यू there were some interview schedule, फिर ऐसा ऐसा लगने लगा that things are really going to be happening, but then again in my case and सभी COVID आ गया तो then
delay हो गया था थोड़ा सा. तो but how did your family feel? जब आपकी family को पता लगा तो उनका क्या reaction था?
They're really excited that yeah, it would be a good opportunity to for future development also. So they're all really excited and happy that I'm getting this opportunity. So it was.
Do you have siblings? आपके कोई भाई बहन है?
जी, मैं वैसे सबसे छोटा हूँ तो बाकी मेरे भाई बहन सब बड़े हैं.
छोटे बड़े तो खैर दूर की बात, मतलब मैं इसलिए कह रही थी क्योंकि अगर मेरे भाई का ये हुआ होता ना तो मेरा सबसे पहला रिएक्शन तो ये होता ग्रेट, मुझे पता है मैं अगली छुट्टियों के लिए कहाँ जा रही हूँ.
हाँ, मेरे भाई यही प्लान करते हैं कि हम बस तुम हमारे
विजिट करेंगे जैसे कोविड
तो जैसे वीजा खुले तो फिर हम प्लान बनाते हैं. तो सबका यही था कि हाँ चलो हमारे पास मेरा एक्चुअली एक भाई और है अबू धाबी में, तो जो बाकी सिबलिंग्स हैं वो कभी कभी जाते हैं वहाँ पे. तो यही था कि हाँ हमारे पास एक और स्पॉट आ गया वेकेशन.
कह रहा हूँ कि शुक्र है एक और स्पॉट आ गया, अबू धाबी से भी हम तंग आ गए थे.
और वो क्योंकि वहाँ गर्मी बहुत होती है तो चले तो जाते हैं बट इन समर वेकेशंस, बट they were like
ज्वाइन कर पाते उस तरह से, of course, yeah. In Rotterdam,
it's not just for his siblings, it's open for all of us as well. हमें हमारे पास भी spot आ गया हर जगह पे, so we're all open to that.
Yeah.
मैंने अपने आप को invite कर लिया है, आप तैयार रहिएगा.
Yes, sure.
So, Sophie, what about you? What was your reaction?
Yes, I think it's been quite exciting. The news was greeted well because it's a great opportunity, not just professionally but also personally, because you would get to experience a new culture, a different culture, and over here you get to engage with both locally within the organization as well as globally with people who carry a lot more influence in what they can deliver in terms of project, the size of the companies that they're operating in. And that helps us learn a lot more on what really makes things move and how to get large projects moving. So we were very happy. There was a bit of uncertainty, yes, because of COVID, like nobody knew about it. And that did impact both the timelines as well as where the location was going to end up being. And having said that, finally we've landed. And realization usi waqt hui hai jab actually land kar liye, yes, this move has actually happened.
अच्छा आप उनमें से हैं कि जब आप फाइनली वहां पे पैर जमाते हैं तो फिर आप कहते हैं कि अच्छा मैं आ गया हूँ, ये हुआ है.
Yeah, ये हुआ है, and COVID had a huge role to play in it because like I moved now where we're going between what, the third wave and fourth wave.
Fourth wave now.
So yeah, so it was hard to predict if at any point in time, last minute कोई travel restriction आ जाए, कोई visa restriction आ जाए, on how the move would actually complete.
Sabi, there was restriction as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's been delayed a few times before I finally managed to get here.
Yeah. So Sabi wasn't sure even before 2 hours of his flight that he can board on the flight or not, right? And I was in touch with him.
Oh my gosh.
It's boarding and meticulous. Yeah.
I'm sure ऐसे ही चल रहा होगा बहुत लोगों के साथ. Just because of the travel issues, ये तो मतलब होना था. But चलें, great, you managed to reach there, mashallah. So Osman, what about you? How did you feel when you got the news?
Honestly, for me, it was home to another home. From Pakistan to Dubai, Dubai is just like another home to Pakistanis, right? And even professionally as well. I think Vopak welcomes Engro employees very well. And for me, it was a home-to-home transfer. That's how I felt. Even
how did your family feel though?
Family was excited about it because my wife lived in Middle East for good 20 years, and for her it was another home, right? So for me it was a very homely feeling, and I think credit goes both to Engro and Vopak both, that the kind of trust they have at the shareholder level is amazing, and that drills down to the employee level as well, right? The way we are being welcomed, the way we are being, because to be very honest, if you're going to a new company, Amber, you don't really know what is going to happen, right? What are gonna be the hidden HR policies gonna be look like, right? And how the people would behave with you. But I think that's a very good program to participate in. And if you ask me, it was a home-to-home transfer, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Chana, that's good. Good, it was a little bit easier for you then in that sense.
Yeah, and it was before COVID for me.
Yeah, there you go. So how do you think that this move is going to impact your career aspirations or your career trajectory actually? आपके मतलब career growth में क्या इससे तब्दीली आएगी?
Amber, to be very honest, when we work in Pakistan, we work at a certain scale and at a certain level. The challenges are very different as compared to if you work globally. I would say Pakistan has altogether different challenges if you want to execute a project. But if you work globally, the set of challenges are different. But at the same time, I believe at the level which we all are working at, right? At a global level, for example, I mentioned that I'm working with Aramco, Sabic, ADNOC. These are massive companies, and the type of exposure you get by talking to these people, right? Talking with people, understanding their procedures, understanding their tendering processes as well. So I think professionally you grow a lot, and at the same time at the personal level as well, because you are working in a Middle East cultural environment where a lot of expats are available. For me, at least, I can relate to, right? In almost every nationality is here, right? And we are different by nature, right? We are different by our cultures as well. So for me, I'm learning personally a lot, professionally and personally both.
Okay.
And yeah, we Pakistanis have a very typical way of interacting with people as well. You face challenges, but I think if you purely ask me, we as a nation are very energetic, hardworking, and relatively good IQ people as well. So I enjoyed my strengths, but at the same time, we need to understand our weaknesses as well.
Of course, that's fair. That's fair. शाजिब, आपको क्या लगता है कि ये जो आप अभी बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ पे रॉटरडैम में, तो इससे आपकी आगे की जो करियर ग्रोथ है उसमें क्या चेंजेस आएंगी, क्या चेंजेस आ सकती हैं, या आपकी अपनी एस्पिरेशंस शिफ्ट हुई हैं?
जी बिल्कुल, because when you are working on a single terminal, you're looking in limited things and opportunities. But now when I'm working with Global, now I'm currently looking after and understanding the 4 different terminals in 4 different locations, like and now I'm starting to interacting with them. I'm planning to go to Colombia in September to visit the LNG terminal there, and there's a terminal health assessment audit, which I'm going to be part of. So while working with the Global, I think it will give me a very vast exposure of not in terms of technology, but with different human interactions, because in Colombia people are like speaking Spanish, and now we are interacting with them, and they are also struggle to communicate. But it is very good that you learn different things in different region of the world. So this will give me not only in terms of technological and operational broader aspects, but also how to interact with different kind of sort of people and region. So it is very good.
It sounds like you are going to have your plate full. Quite a bit of traveling as well, and then and how long is your secondment for?
It's for now it's extended to 1 more year, I believe, so till September next year.
Okay, inshallah. All right. And Samama, what do you think as far as your career growth is concerned? Is your secondment as exciting as Shahzeb's?
Well, not that much, but still exciting. So contrary to the, what Usman has said and what Shahzeb has experienced, I am posted to a site that is very remote as compared to the Central Australia or, let's say the metropolitan Australia. So I come in the regional areas. My site comes in the regional areas, that is Darwin, very huge place, a big desert, and the population is only 200,000 people. So it is for like 6 times of Pakistan. I mean, the area is 6 times of that of Pakistan, but the population is only 200,000 people.
Wow.
So yeah, that is a totally different experience to what Shahzeb has defined or what Usman has defined. So I am posted in, in a fixed demographic area where there are a lot of, most of them are white people. There is less diversity. But even in that situation, you have a lot to learn as well. You know your strengths, but then you have to develop new strengths as well. You have to acclimate you develop those senses for those people. You have to adapt to culture. You have to adapt to working culture. So yeah, it consumes a lot of your energies, but once you hit that right spot, it is benefiting for you and the company and everyone. So yeah, I have experienced a bit of challenges in first 6 months, but once I acclimated myself, or I acquainted myself to those areas which I needed to focus on, I did, and those have yielded the fruits.
And you feel that these are skills that will genuinely help you grow in your career in the future?
Most definitely, yes.
Yeah.
So I would develop on those skills, and I would polish them, and definitely they would be helped later down the lane.
What do you think is your biggest challenge that you've had to face there? Because I feel like you are in the most kind of enclosed opportunity right now. So it's a little bit narrower, but of course it has its own challenges and it has its own learnings. So what are your biggest challenges to you?
So adopting to the work style, that was the biggest challenge that I have felt. So I would give you just, a rogue example, a vague example. So just like, communicating. So a lot of communication back in Pakistan was done through emails. So you would flick, a one-liner email and people would just read it and act on that. But if you do that too much here, people would actually be offended. So rather than, sending emails, you have to communicate verbally. You have to focus on the verbal skills more. So things like that, although they might seem very tiny, during this meeting or, during any chat, but you can see its impact once you're doing that, in your daily work life, you would actually see that impact. And if you don't do that, you would see that impact as well. So,
oh, wow.
So yeah, things like that. But you have to get on top of that and just make it your habit. So yeah.
That's really interesting. I think it's tough, right? Having to adjust to a new culture altogether. And
Yeah.
आपको लगता है कि बाज़ाहिर यहाँ बैठ के शायद हमें ये लगता है कि गोरे सारे एक जैसे होते हैं, लेकिन वो भी बहुत मुख्तलिफ होते हैं.
Different. They are totally different. I mean, even within Australia, if you go,
देखकर ये लगता होगा all brown people are the same, but we're also quite different, I think.
And more than the ethnicity itself, it depends on the site location. So this site is remote site, a lot smaller team with a lot of let's say bullheaded mindsets, I would say, if I'm being very crude. But if you go to Sydney, people would be more, from the metropolitan areas, they would have more exposure. They would have a very ductile and, very open-minded. So things like that. So to me, more than ethnicity, it depends on the location itself.
Yeah,
Yep.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
Just on that point, Amber, I'd like to add, I think Sumama touched on a very important point. And with every move that happened, we were, of course, learning new things about how, maybe the operational bit and the cultural bit. So having learned on these, the points that Sumama has shared and many other of the people who had went previously, we actually carried out a cultural sensitization coaching for the others who were in the pipeline. So I think that's a very important point where I think Sabi and Shazi were a part of that coaching. They can also talk about that a little bit. That you need to understand before you actually go there, what are some of those different cultural contexts that you need to understand that can actually offend people. So it's a very important point, agreed. And I think all of you are settling in well, so you can maybe talk more about a little more about that.
I think when they come back, Fatma, they'll be ready to train whoever's going to be going next on the cultural sensitivities. And I think that that's learning that's invaluable. And that's something that honestly, you could actually have these guys make brief videos, just talking about the cultural nuances. And that could actually help all of us, whether we're at Vopak or we're at any other business in Engro. Because it will help us.
We do have something similar in pipeline at the moment for people who are maybe not scheduled to move, but then we are still interacting with our global partners on a daily basis. So for that, of course, a bit of research is to reach out to people who are actually there. So you're right, these guys will be the main people we reach out to.
Great, excellent. So Sabi, what do you think? What are the biggest challenges you're facing right now in the Netherlands?
So honestly speaking, it's been quite a smooth landing. So it's not a lot of challenges that I'm facing in terms of opportunities that or skills that I am getting to improve, and that would be useful for a career progression perspective. I think the biggest thing is stakeholder management. When you're in Pakistan, most of the people you're interacting with, you have a shared history of some sort, even if it's not work related, it's from the society. But when you're reaching out and doing projects in different countries with partners of different countries, then those common bonds are missing, or those common areas are missing, and you have to actually explore and get to find out what makes those people tick. And when you do that, you get to learn a lot more about stakeholder management. And that's a skill that you can obviously come back and bring wherever you are going to, even when you come back to Pakistan, because while there are a lot of shared histories that people in Pakistan have, there are differences as well. And improving on your ability to manage stakeholders is something that is always going to be useful everywhere. The second thing I think is the level of specialization we get. So again, when you're in a single market, you don't get to really specialize more in the field you're saying, because a lot of the specialization is happening just in the country. But when you have a more global outlook, you can get to specialize more in a product or a nature of business better, because you know what are the characteristics of that nature or of that product or market, rather than just that geography. So I think these two areas are very important learning areas for myself over here. That would help me.
Yeah, I think that's important for everyone. And I think this is going to draw me to my next question actually. मैं थोड़ा सा आप सबसे कहूँगी कि अपने मुँह से अपनी तारीफ करें, but please, I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with that, but please for this purpose, because it's learning again for everyone else. I'm wondering कि आप के अंदर आपको क्या लगता है कि आपकी कौन सी ऐसी स्किल्स हैं जिससे हम सभी सीख सकते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स, कि हम उनके ऊपर ज्यादा तवज्जो दें, जिसकी वजह से आप यहाँ पहुंचे हैं? एक तो आपकी obviously your hard work and stuff, fine, but it takes more than just that to be able to get to where you are right now. And there's a certain, in French they say je ne sais quoi, there's just a certain I don't know what exactly, but there's a certain feature in people that kind of makes them more perhaps adaptive. So are there certain features that you find in yourself that you pride yourself on and you can say कि यार अगर आप लोग मुझसे कुछ सीखें तो आप लोग मुझसे ये सीखें, तो उससे शायद आपको भी फायदा हो सके?
Yeah, I would say being willing to put yourself out there. So even again, if I look at my time back in Engro, I've been moving a lot through different locations, functions. I barely stayed in one place more than a year and a half. So being willing to put yourself out there, expose yourself to uncertain situations, exploring.
Stepping out of your comfort zone, that's a very important.
Yeah, and that's what really opens up these opportunities, because whenever you do get that opportunity, what you're doing really is stepping out of your comfort zone. So you've got to think of it not just as one giant leap that goes outside of the country. It's also continuously changing that comfort zone within your own domain, wherever you are.
Okay. And Usman, what about you?
Yeah, I think I can relate to what Sabi said. I generally, whenever someone asks me how was your experience in Engro, I define it as a roller coaster ride. I think if you want to ask me, I think positivity and a good attitude towards your company, right? For me, these two things are very important to myself, and I always focus on these, and rest, have some faith on Allah as well, that yeah, you can do up till some point, and then have some faith and relax.
Okay, fair enough. What about soft skills? Something like communication skills or presentation skills, or something along those lines. Anything that you think that people can that we all can maybe focus a little bit more on in ourselves to improve ourselves, to be able to adjust better in these external situations like where you guys are right now?
But two things which I would like to highlight. I think one of the most important challenges being Pakistani, we don't have good listening skills. We need to be good listeners, because I think the kind of environment in which we are being brought up, right? The kid who raises his hands first, or even before finishing the question, teacher always appreciate it, right? So what I would like to guide everyone by using this platform, we need to improve our listening skills, and this is something which is very important. And when you especially work in a cross-cultural environment, right, you need to listen to people, and you need to give respect to the people who you are talking to, right? So this is something which is important. I would like to highlight. So communication skills is something which is very, very important. And so that is one point which I would say that we as a nation needs to improve on overall basis. Else, I believe we Pakistanis are hardworking and we have a reasonably good IQ. And I always say that, yeah, if you guys can work on your soft skills a little bit, we are much better as compared to, you can say, Gora skin, right?
Yeah. All right, fair enough. So Mama, what do you think?
Just adding on.
जिस skill के ऊपर हम सब सीख सकें थोड़ा सा.
Yeah, just adding on to Usman's point, the other most important skill is to take your time, right? So here, yeah, exactly. Well, it may seem strange, but here, I mean, you are given assignments, and you can do them. And back in Engro, I mean, it was habit of mine and habit of general, officers over there, to actually do multiple things, and they, maintained it a certain quality, right? And in second draft that would be improved, in third draft that would be improved further, and after fourth draft that would be to that extent that can be presented further. But here you would be given assignments, and you would be given plenty of time. So if you are carrying if you're just following through on that habit that you have borrowed from Engro, you would, give them, let's say, 80% cooked meal that most of the time people won't like. So that is why it is important to utilize that timeline that have been given to you. That is, in most of the cases, very relaxed timeline. So take all that time and then come to a 100% conclusion before you submit anything. So that is another very important learning. Yep.
That's extremely important. And I think you've actually said two things here. One thing that you've said is time management skills are something that we should all focus on, which I agree with 100%. I think we all should focus on that for sure. But the other thing that you've said, which is really interesting, is that you always get a relaxed timeline there, which should tell you something. That kind of shows that perhaps we also need to work more on our organizational skills, because that means कि हम बड़े देर से planning करते हैं, जो आम तौर पे आप बाहर अगर जाएं तो कंपनीज पहले से और डिपार्टमेंट्स या डिपार्टमेंट हेड्स लीड्स वगैरह वो पहले से थोड़ा सा सोच के बैठे हुए होते हैं और फिर वो कहते हैं कि यार मुझे 3 हफ्ते में ये एक चीज चाहिए, जरा ये प्रोड्यूस कर लेना, और यहाँ पे वो ये चीज प्रोबेबली 3 दिन में कहेंगे कि यार अभी मुझे ख्याल आया कि ये चीज करनी है, जरा 3 दिन में पका के दे दो मुझे, and it becomes very difficult for all of us. And I think we've all faced that, we've all been there. And it's funny that you bring that up, because I know some people who have worked abroad and then now they're working here, और उनका feedback भी यही हुआ रहा है, मतलब उनका experience यही रहा है कि यहाँ पे यार हर चीज urgent होती है, बाहर तो इस तरह से नहीं होता है. So very interesting, good observations that you pointed out there. Thank you. Shazia, what about you? What do you think?
So I think the factor that I'm here right now is the hunger for learning new things. So when I joined Engro, I was working in a shift. So we have two terminals, EVTL and ETL, and ETL is LNG part and EVTL is like other chemicals part. So Sumama was a general shift engineer who looks after LNG part, and there were 4 shift engineers who looks after the chemical part. So, but I have something inside me to just go to learn what is happening in LNG, and I become a student of Sumama. And we have a unique thing between me, Sumama, and Usman, that Usman was our operations manager, Sumama was general shift engineer, and I was the shift engineer. So Sumama was learning from Usman and I was learning from Sumama. So when the Sumama get the opportunity to move to Australia, I had already learned a lot of things from him related and was ready to replace him. So I think if you, and at that time I was not thinking something that in future would something happen like this. So, but it was my hunger or eagerness to learn different things which worked for me.
Okay, so interesting. So one, you've said ambition, basically, right? Be ambitious, right? Strive for things, which I think goes quite hand in hand with what Sabi said about stepping out of your comfort zone as well, right? So those two things are definitely connected. But the other thing that you said, which is also very important, and I think that we all should pay attention to that, is to have almost to have informal mentors. So while Fatma has this incredible mentorship program in place right now for the women across the Vopak universe, there's also something to be said about just having informal mentors where you work and learning from them, and then they end up becoming your allies on things where you didn't even realize that you would need someone. And it's an incredible thing to have that. So I think it's so important that you pointed that out, Shazib, and I hope everybody heard that. It's very, very important to have mentors where you work. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you feeling good about where you work. It gives you a sounding board for when you're having problems from someone who genuinely understands where you're coming from, because they work at the same place. They go through the same stuff. So it makes life a lot easier in that sense. Thank you. Very, very valuable insights. Very quickly, Mavish, can you tell us a little bit about the process for the secondment and transfer, and about the transfer alignments and the operational process, all of that?
So Amber, it was a very rigorous and a thorough process for each one of these secondees, and they can vouch for that, because for each secondment, they were different point of views that came across that we didn't consider before. So we had 2 secondments that happened before COVID and then 2 after COVID. So there were several things that that one has to take care of as being your local HR partner, and it's not just about the secondees but their families as well. So while we are ensuring that our secondees are not at a disadvantage with the transfer and ensuring that their monetary and non-monetary benefits are aligned, we also need to make sure that the families are comfortable with the move. So for instance, if the spouse is working here, we would ensure that the person has certain opportunities at the host location. Similarly, we need to check what the schooling systems are at the host country. So you have to make the move as comfortable as possible. And I can tell you it was a very thorough process at both ends, us and Vopak. And Vopak has been supportive throughout. I'm very proud to share that our benefits and our policy structures are widely appreciated in the Vopak world. And an example of that I can tell you is that whenever I have spoken about a policy or a benefit with the HR directors, they would actually cascade that down to other colleagues because they find our structures to be very well organized. So it's a very proud feeling to have that our benefits are so well appreciated and that they actually use our benefits and our policies for our secondees. So yeah, it's been a great experience and a good exposure for us as HR because we get to interact with so many people with the global compensation manager, and that gives you a different perspective to how to ensure that everything is done very thoroughly and everything is accounted for each of these departments. So yeah, it's been a great experience for us.
That can't be easy. That must be very challenging because you have to think about, as you said, the family, the children, the spouse. A lot to think about. Yeah. So
Amber, Amber, I would like to compliment here both Vopak and Engro. Vopak has amazing policy as far as employment transfer is concerned, and the way the marriage of comp and ben both sides is being done is a superb job. It's not very easy, to be very honest, but I think Vopak hosts you very well, and Engro makes sure that their employee who is going abroad is being taken care very well. So I would compliment both the shareholders that they're doing amazing job. So hats off to Mavish and her team back in EVTL. And yeah, wherever you guys are, I'm sure you guys would have a similar experience like that there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, honest feedback, you guys. Do you feel like you're genuinely getting the right amount of support from the parent company, from Engro? Do you feel like you're getting that? And do you feel sometimes like you might be sidetracked a little bit or a little bit forgotten?
5 stars for, sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Samama, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Samama, we can start with you.
5 stars for Engro after sales services. Well,
okay.
yeah, literally. Well, exceptionally well. I have first-hand experience of that, and I can testify that it was exceptional. So yeah, without going into too much details, but
Okay,
yeah, there
but
was immense.
You still feel like you're part of Engro?
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, I still get calls from Adil Saab on the retainage. So yeah, so a lot of LAP queries as well. So I feel welcomed. In fact, when that my knowledge is still respected in my parent company. So definitely, if I can give something back, even at this stage or even at later stage, I would definitely be a part of that, conversation or transaction. Definitely.
Very well said. Sabi, what do you think?
Yeah, I think excellent support from HR. Whenever I've seen so far any gap which I feel is unaddressed, I reach out to them, and it might take some time to align those gaps, but they do get aligned, and those things do get resolved. And also on the business side, I'd say on both directions. So when Usman had left and I was needing his help, we would have a healthy interaction. And even now that I'm here and there are other people that are looking after what I used to look at, we continue to have a healthy relationship. So it's going very well.
Nice. So you don't feel forgotten either. That's good. Shazib, aapko kya lagta hai?
Yeah, it's I mean, नहीं बिल्कुल it's part like a part of family that हम किसी जैसे family member को बाहर भेज होते हैं तो उसका पूछते हैं, ख्याल करते हैं, छोटी छोटी चीज़ों का पूछते हैं कि ये सब हो गया नहीं हुआ। तो इसी तरह से Engro HR thanks to Mavish, Fatma and बल्कि जो हमारे टर्मिनल मैनेजर्स आदिल वो भी वक्तन फवक्तन पूछते रहते हैं सारी चीज़ें। तो इट्स लाइक अ फैमिली के उन्होंने अपनी फैमिली से किसी को दूसरी जगह भेजा तो उसी तरह से इसका हमारा ख्याल रखें।
Oh, that's nice. That's good. आप और सभी कुछ घूमे फिरे या नहीं? कुछ एक्सप्लोर करने का मौका मिला है?
Next week is off for me. That's when I'm gonna go.
Oh no, you guys not gonna be able to go together?
I'll go with my wife and kids.
All right. Okay, fair enough. I guess. All right. I mean, if you have to choose, that's a fair point. So be fine. What about you, Shazib? आपको घूमने फिरने का थोड़ा सा मौका मिला कोई?
हाँ, बीच में जब मैं आया था उसके बाद तो कोविड रिस्ट्रिक्शंस की वजह से ज़्यादा नहीं घूम सके, but recently we have been to few places like Amsterdam and there's a few UN historical places like Kenderdijk where they have old windmills, so it's really beautiful.
Yeah, must have been very nice. So, Mama, आप कुछ वहाँ पे आपने कुछ एक्सप्लोर किया है?
बिल्कुल। यहाँ पे जो ये बेसिकली एक सहराई इलाका है, तो बिल्कुल ट्रेन जो है वो बलूचिस्तान जैसी, और यहाँ पे जो एक डिफरेंस है वो ये है कि रोड्स जो हैं वो असफाल्टेड रोड्स हैं, काफी तकरीबन 1500 किलोमीटर की, और जो है वो नेशनल पार्क्स हैं बहुत ज्यादा।
बलूचिस्तान जैसा?
जी जी बिल्कुल, जी जी बिल्कुल इसी तरह।
Oh my God, you think of Australia, that's not what you think of at all.
So अभी मतलब पिछले वीकेंड पे मैं यहाँ पे एक जगह है बुली रॉक होल, लिचफील्ड नेशनल पार्क है, यहाँ से तकरीबन मेरे घर से 300 किलोमीटर दूर है। तो वहाँ पे हम गए थे, तो बेसिकली वहाँ पे सहरा के दरमियान में एक जो ओएसिस, एक नखलस्तान है, वहाँ पे ठंडे पानी के चश्मे हैं। तो यू गेट प्लेसेस लाइक दैट। सो ऑन एवरेज आपको तकरीबन 300 किलोमीटर जो है वो सफर करना होगा, और आप जो है वो लंच कर सकते हैं क्रूज में, जबकि आपके इर्द गिर्द क्रोकोडाइल्स होंगे और आप उनको फीड भी कर सकते हैं। रियली नाइस प्लेस। केथरीन है यहाँ पे, जी जी, यहाँ पे क्रोकोडाइल पार्क्स हैं, बिल्कुल कंट्रोल्ड एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर हैं। और बाकी यहाँ पे जो लोग हंटिंग वगैरह का शौक रखते हैं उनके लिए तो बहुत ही अच्छी जगह है। बुश, we call that bush. So there are desert jungles, so to say. So you can actually go there on your 4WD and hunt kangaroos. So a lot of things to do. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure. Plus you have, I mean, an entire continent now to explore. So time ke saath. What's the COVID situation over there? Is it under control?
Here in the state where I live, there is, I mean, no COVID restrictions. Why it is like that? Because they have managed it really well. So initially, when the first wave struck the entire world, there were 5 cases that were identified in Northern Territory. So they actually isolated those people, and then they shut the borders down with all the neighboring states as well. So they did not allow any interstate movement as well. So after 14 days, we were in the lockdown. We worked from home only 14 days, and after that, you know, no one could travel across. So they, you know, lifted all the bans and all the restrictions. So everything is back to normal since last year.
I think आप लोगों की population density भी इतनी कम है ना कि हमें मतलब control करना भी थोड़ा आसान है।
0.3 people per kilometer.
Yeah, so exactly.
So yeah, very well managed. Very well managed. Nothing to worry about COVID in Northern Territory at least.
Good. That's good. Usman, मुझे बताएं, how is Engro perceived where you are? What do people say about Engro?
Amber, I have to leave within a minute. I have to attend another call of myself. So Engro,
I know I've gone way over on time just because this was very interesting.
Yeah, but very quickly, Engro is being perceived at a shareholder level, a very trustworthy partner. At the employees level, the way Engro brought up their employees is something which is amazing. I think how I've been told about Engronians is ethics is something which is one of their topmost priorities. So I feel very happy about it when someone compliments about our ethics, which is very core to our I would say Engro values, right? And then I think I've already summarized that. Yeah, we are lucky that we were being hired in Engro. We were trained in Engro. Almost, I think four of us were trained within Engro. So very happy and very excited to be part of this program, and looking forward for similar sessions in the future as well. Amber, thanks for your team. Great job done, and looking forward.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Usman.
Stay
We
blessed.
really appreciate it. Take
Stay
care.
blessed.
Okay, so guys, this is actually the last question. So, Sabi, let's hear from you. How is Engro perceived where you are?
I think very positively. People see both as Usman was earlier mentioning, a trustworthy partner, but also I think it's increasingly with more people moving in and having these interactions, it's also seen as a good source of talent. So I've heard people talk about at the back of their mind, they're like, okay, we're sourcing for this project. We're going to source as many people locally as we can. And when we need more experienced people that we may have to place from outside, we're going to reach out and ask Engro if they can fill those positions. So I've heard people have, like, it's not formal yet there, but it's something that people do think at the back of their minds. And that's, I think, a great testament to the reputation Engro has, both on an interaction between an opco and a shareholder, as well as the people that have moved over to Vopak over the years.
Amazing. Amazing. Shazib, what about you? Have you had a similar experience?
Yeah, exactly. We Engro have a lot of Vopak have a lot of confidence in Engro, and in terms of business also as the area to work in Pakistan with, and in terms of like the talent, they are now getting more confidence like after these initiatives that if there are some new terminals and opportunities in Vopak LNG world, then they will also look forward to have the talent and manpower from Pakistan, and especially Engro. So that's the feedback I receive with the people I work.
Very cool. Very cool. So Mama, will there be yahi sentiments hai?
बिल्कुल यही exactly these. In terms of technical knowledge, our manpower, especially from Engro, they surpass any of the manpower in any of the Vopak locations. That is what I can say, at least the locations where I have visited. बहुत ज़्यादा लोग इस knowledge को जो है वो इज्जत देते हैं, और it is manifested in their dealings with the people as well. और जिस तरह उस्मान साहब ने कहा कि जो ethics और values हैं, just clinging to them, Engronians are known for that, and it is renowned across the Vopak in general. So not only I have manifested that, but I have faced a response in that regard as well. So yeah, would actually buy all the words if anyone has said anything like that. Yes.
Very interesting. So I think that's a great note to kind of end things on, because what we're hearing is that in the Vopak universe, jahan koi opportunity aisi aati hai, jahan se bahar se bulana ho kisi ko, so the first name, or at least one of the first names that comes up in the minds of all of the people at Vopak is Engro. And that's amazing. And I think all four of you should be extremely proud of yourselves also, mashallah, for being a part of the reason that people in those corridors are talking about Engro. We're very proud of you guys, and obviously everyone who went before you guys as well, because आप ही सबकी वजह से ये नाम obviously हमारा इस तरह से रोशन हो रहा है. And then of course, when they come and visit here and they interact with all of you guys at the facilities, you know, and at the head office as well, there's a certain impression that's made on them, of course. And then the output, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves also. So there's that, and we know that the LNG and Vopak businesses are doing incredibly well in our portfolio, mashallah. So well done to all of you guys. That's so great. And one more thing that I want to just recap before we go, a few skills that, you know, because it's great learning for us. So I just want to recap it. A few skills that you guys mentioned that we can perhaps hone in ourselves. ताकि आगे को जाके हम भी इस तरह से सोच सकें कि हम बाहर जाके, you know, Engro का नाम हम भी रोशन करें. So one is communication and good listening. The other one is ambition, stepping out of your comfort zone, creating mentorships, being a mentor and having a mentor, very important for you at work, and being more organized, I think, is also very important, and understanding cultural nuances is extremely critical also. Did I get everything, guys? Was that everything? Yes?
100%, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here. It was really, really a nice and a very interactive and incredible session. And for everyone at Engro, I hope this really put a pep in your step for working at Engro, because ye log bhi naam roshan kar rahe hain aur kal ko aap bhi naam roshan kar sakte hain isi tarah se bahar jaake, inshallah. Thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Thanks a lot
Lovely.
for having us.
This great session.
Thank you for having us.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.